All right. Happy Saturday, Canes fans. It's midnight. It's Spiked Rob and it's Gridiron Grandmasters. So I've got this presentation for you all tonight because this is one hell of a game, and I would be remiss if I waited any longer than I already have to talk about this game. I just needed the time to go over every glorious detail of the offensive strategy that was used in this game against Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh came out of the gate scoring. We start off the game with a sack. Um, I mean, just a ridiculous starting point for this game. Tyler Van Dyke sacked for 15 yards off of this five receiver spread. I hope we didn't see this particular formation the rest of the game, and I was very happy that Lashley figured that out right out the gate, because this was probably the worst start to a game that you could conceive of as a offensive coordinator to end up in such a fantastic fashion. And he comes right back, Rambo, bread and butter, deep comeback to Rambo. 14 yards there. Keyshawn Smith, 57 yards. And this was just him having time back there. They left people in to pass block, or at least to, slow the rush. And the pump fake that he gave Tyler Van Dyke was on fucking fire. Maybe just getting hit early on in the game. I don't know what it was, but he was a man possessed. 57 yards to the 19-yard line. Jalen Knighton gets his first rush of the game off tackle out of this trip set, loss of 1 yard. And then Elijah Arroyo, 20 yards for the touchdown. Beautiful pass. Fantastic way to bring it in. I mean, and this is what you do. You misdirect, right? You try and set them up thinking that the last person you're going to throw to is your backup tight end. Well, not when it's Miami. So they come back. They do this trips right this time. Charleston Rambo for 8 yards. They did this a lot. They really did the power spread, do the screen pass out the back. And so going back to the first run with Jalen Knighton, I guess they realized that they were playing the run from that formation, so they decided to hit them with the screen at least 5 times. But here's number one. Then they go to the stacks, and this time they go with the run. And it's not really even a dive play. I used to think that it was a dive play, but he has to take a back step essentially in order to get this ball and go right up the gut. We are playing a lot through between the tackles, which is not a bad thing. But there's no impetus to get the running back up to top speed when he gets the ball. When the handoff happens, he has had to take a step back basically to get the ball and do this play. So it's almost like a slam play from shotgun. It's not a bad thing. It's just not dynamic. And that's okay, but you're putting a lot on your running backs and your linemen when you do this, which is probably why you needed someone with just insane acceleration like Rooster to make it really effective. So then the trickery, my goodness. So everybody saw this play 15 times, but you actually hand it off to Rooster. He flips it back to our man Restrepo, who had an incredible game. We'll get to that. And then Jay basically comes back with the reverse, flips it back to Van Dyke, who really hasn't moved. And this is the best part about this play. This is not the play that we saw before to start off the game, I believe, against North Carolina, where it was also trickery, but you were forcing Van Dyke to move around in the pocket before he got the ball back. So he didn't really set his feet before he got the ball. Here, he's handing it off and he's standing there and he's got his feet set when it gets flipped back to him. He's already ready to just sling it, 35, 45 yards in the air, hits Mallory on the run. And Mallory's not the fastest guy, but with that much space and that full head of steam, because he didn't have to slow down at all, just fucking perfection. 14-7 Canes. So let's talk about what the fuck happened, at least in terms of chess. And I think it was appropriate to dig this out for the game that took place on October 30th. The Halloween Gambit is a real thing, and it is an aggressive chess opening in which White sacrificed the knight early on for a single pawn, and it's an offshoot of a very, very boring setup. The four knights setup. So basically, this knight would have been in its usual spot. It would have mirrored what was going on from black side. So there was a black pawn that was just taken by the white knight, and everything is a mirror image of each other up until this point. And as the saying goes, when you pull out the Halloween gambit on people, it shocks the other side because they're prepared for a literally like one of the most boring mirror image games that you can think of in chess. And you decide to say, fuck it, we're going all out. Now, you are giving up the knight. Elijah Arroyo, he had one catch the whole game, 20 yards, touchdown pass. If you're going to only get one pass, if you're only going to make one move, you better make it a big splash play. And Arroyo did that. And it made a big difference because as we look at the rest of this game, Pittsburgh's defense was shell shocked. They were not ready for this shit. And so 14-7, their offense gets stopped and comes right back. Harley for 20 yards on the first down. This was not a complicated play. This is, I mean, not even our bread and butter, but this is one of the most basic things you get in a power spread offense. You just throw the screen from the slot. You have the tight end who is, out there to run a pass, but he's really out there because he's the biggest guy you can put in the flat to block and not make it look super suspicious. And they open up a lane, and Harley just takes off 20 yards. And it's because Pittsburgh was just slow to react. They just weren't ready for it. They were worried about fucking Mallory burning them again, as they got burned by tight ends on back-to-back opening drives for 20, 50 yards for chunk plays. So they were like, okay, yeah, throw it short. We could stop that. No, you can't because they're slow. At least in the beginning of the game, they were shell shocked. Now, this play, trips left. They got the running back on the left side. And it's the same play that they stopped him for -1 yard in the first drive. And here we are now. And it's a 40-yard run for a touchdown because everyone for Pittsburgh basically overreacted to the ball. They all overran the play and they left the lane. I mean, it wasn't wide open, but with Knighton, he wasn't even touched for 40 yards. And that's saying something, especially because it wasn't run outside. He was able to basically bend it back around the right guard for 40 yards. And, he could have waved to the cameras as he went. So this was all because Pittsburgh got shell shocked. Now, 21-10. Get the ball back in. Now we're getting out on the 11-yard line. So it's a little more difficult. And we have this just crazy formation, in my opinion. It's tight end over. We're moving the receiver in motion towards the center of the line of scrimmage. So everything's on the right side. The tight end is covered up. And we still managed to get 15 yards up the gut on that slam play for a first down. Why? Because they were so deer in the headlights at this point that they didn't know which way was up. And I love that is what happens when you do this shit right? When you come out with an effective game plan and you just run all over them. This is not Smash Mouth. This is just lightning. This is a blitzkrieg. This is they're the Mizuno line who were not ready for tanks rolling up on their ass so fast that they couldn't react. So here, Van Dyke, they tried to run the actual, well, it was kind of a screenplay. Actually, what he was trying to do was, it was yet another go for the throat moment because he was actually looking for his receiver on the right side who is isolated. And because he didn't have that, he had to check back to the left side because everything was on the left side. And he just basically threw it out of bounds over Keyshawn's head because there was nothing there. The whole point of this play was eye candy to the left. So there was one-on-one on the right. And the defense did a really good job. But the fact that we're going for this, up 21-10 in the first quarter, Rhett don't give a damn. He says, let's go for another fucking 50-yard pass play, basically. Another chunk play. Let's just go for the throat. So, this was the Connecticut drill, which, not surprisingly, Tyler Van Dyke from Glastonbury runs really well. But Restrepo, dear Lord, some amazing catches. Just incredible catches. And this again was just off a broken play where he threw it to the sideline. Strippo comes up with it. We get 10 yards. First down. Let's go. Cody Brown, no gain. Now, people are getting on him because they say he's too slow. He doesn't get to the hole, on and on and on. Maybe, in my opinion, this is not a setup. Again, you have Brashard Smith in the backfield as well, and you're trying to run that screen left to him in the flat, right? That's where the fake is, and he's running off tackle right, screen left. This is not a formation that Cody Brown is supposed to excel at. He is your bruiser, for lack of a better term, in this shotgun offense. He is one cut and go. And in this, it's a lot, again, a lot of eye candy, a lot of, oh, which way are we going? This is a Jalen Knighton play if I've ever seen one. You send him off the right tackle, you send Brashard Smith left, and it doesn't matter what happens on this play. You keep doing this setup. One of them's going to be open. And if Van Dyke reads it properly pre-snap, it's all over. And because I don't think this is a read that you can really pull off. Maybe you could pull it off an RPO during the play, just by reading maybe the defense or the middle linebacker, defensive tackle, seeing which way he goes based on, because you're going to both sides of the formation. Maybe. But again, it requires a lot of finesse, and Cody Brown is not a finesse player. I don't think anybody should expect him to be a finesse player, but also don't keep saying that, oh, well, he shouldn't be out there. He more than earned his money during this game, and he got very limited opportunities. This was the Rooster show, and he did really well, but Cody Brown could have excelled even more. And that Tad Franklin too, like get that out there. And I think he would do good things as well if you treat them properly. Again, you're doing what they're supposed to be doing. Okay, I don't know who the fuck was working at ESPN. Their descriptions for this game were insane. They went from not doing any effort at all for parts of the game to way too much effort here. And this play here, there's motion for I believe Keyshawn, and he ends up doing a follow route, and it's a slant play, wide open. The formation slightly off because the receiver on the right side is supposed to be off the line, but this was all about the left side. They put him in motion from basically wide left to kind of shrinking the field and making an easier throw. And Devon Donaldson, for no fucking reason, goes way too far downfield. He's the only one who goes so far. He goes so far downfield that he has to go run up to Keyshawn to pick him up after the play because he didn't block anybody. He ran downfield. It's just, it was blatantly obvious. So Navon screwed us there. Oh, yeah, right. That's right. And there was the play action. And then unsportsmanlike on Alexandra. And this was just a pass out of bounds. And this was, after the play. It was stupid. Again, the formation slightly off. I just did this an hour ago. And then rush up the middle for 4 yards, and Navon holding on that play too. Like this entire drive, we had 3 touchdowns in a row. We're going for the throat. We're moving down the field, and Navon basically decided that he was going to tank this entire drive for us. Am I mad about it? A little. But also, we had other people. We have other people to put in, when until he gets his head in the game, right? Like just snap out of it, man. Making mistake after mistake after mistake. So anyway, 1st and 20, what do we do? We're doing dive. Why? Because it didn't seem to matter what the fuck we did. Navon was going to screw it up. So I think this was literally just let's make sure he can actually just do a normal play, and he's got his head on straight. 3 yards, 1st and 20. Again, 3 yards in the cloud of dust for Cody Brown. That's what he's good at. Tyler Van Dyke has an incomplete pass. This one was just, I believe, overthrown for Keyshawn. It was out there. It was too high, I believe. And then Jalen Knighton, 4 yards. It was a pass complete. It was really just they wanted to do a quick screen to him dump off, basically see what he can get. And I think he ran over the Pitt defender. I know he crunched a couple of them just for funsies out in the flat. The kid is so good in space. Anybody who's in the secondary better watch out because Knighton is as fast or faster than you, and he will run your ass over. It's great. What he's not great at is running in between the tackles. I'm not saying that he can't do it, but it's kind of an all or nothing proposition with Jalen. He very, very rarely gets 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Typically, he gets 1 yard, -1 yard, or 40 yards running in between the tackles. Um, but again, I digress. So I think we had a punt there. Yep. And then we get the ball back, and now it's 21-17, and they're giving us a game. And then it becomes the Restrepo show. Screen right, 12 yards. Then Rambo, screen right out of the trips, 13 yards. Run the same play again. He drops the pass. Rambo ended up with 7 catches, 100 yards, did well. He is so good. He is basically going to be um, the next great receiver um, to just get 13 catches a game and 120 yards or whatever, maybe a touchdown, maybe not. Like God, I can't remember the guy's name from the Saints. Michael Thomas. He will be the next Michael Thomas, but you can't have drops, man. And he had many this game. And honestly, I understand it's easier said than done, but if he just looks it in, then at least he's ensuring that the play goes on, right? Especially in this play where he dropped it, the both Restrepo and Mallory doubled the guy who would have come anywhere near him to tackle him right away. So he had enough time. He just has to trust his teammates on that. He just gotta it's all about looking it in. It's the only pass, it's the only thing that he can do that nobody else can do for him. So anyway, 2nd and 10, Restrepo, 9 yards. And this is on a scramble, throw it on the run, Stripple with amazing catch, and roughing the passer. And just for the record, Pittsburgh's defenders have some of the most incredible names. Servasia Dennis. I mean, he fucked up there, but still, hats off to you for the name. All right, Jalen Knighton, 2 yards. Now they do, again, overload basically. It's trips left plus the running backs to the left. They do the fake screen, and then that's supposed to kind of delay the defense enough so that everyone on the left side of that defense isn't completely overloading, running in to try and stop the run. Knighton still gets 2 yards. Okay. Intended for Mike Harley, roughing the passer. This was a pretty weak roughing the passer, but I don't think. I mean, the commentating crew was fine, but they said that Van Dyke sold it. I don't think so. He short armed the pass on. I mean, it was incomplete to Harley, who ended up running 10, 20 yards downfield and giving attitude to the Pittsburgh defenders, but it hit the ground first because Van Dyke short armed it, and that's saying a lot for Van Dyke to short arm a pass. I think he was actually getting hit pretty hard. But I don't think that it was hit in the head, and I don't think it was roughing the passer. But what are you going to do? We get it back here. Oh, and I will say before we finish this up, the acting job that the fuckface from Pittsburgh, the running back, did early on in the game, that totally screwed them for the rest of the game. That little acting job got them 15 yards, and then the referees decided that every opportunity they could penalize Pittsburgh for it, they did, and it was totally because of the one acting job. For the price of 15 yards, you basically screwed your team out of at least 45 because the refs were done with him. As soon as they saw that, everyone, the ref upstairs, whatever, the instant replay, everyone saw how terrible that acting job was. And the fact that the refs fell for it once means that they were going to screw Pitt for the rest of the game. Hey, that's why you don't act like a little bitch. That's what you're going to do. All right, this here, another pass drops, second one by Rambo. I think on this drive, the 2 zeros that we have on this drive so far are because Rambo dropped passes. This one, for some reason, Pittsburgh could not pick up on the fact that the 2 receivers on the end there recovered. And I don't know why, but they allowed the slot to get wide the fuck open every time off of, it was a play action, but it wasn't just this time. We run this play multiple times out of this exact same formation, this very weird kind of quad formation where we cover up one of our receivers. It should not work, but Pittsburgh fell for it the first time. And Lashley said, well, they fell for it the first time on the 15-yard line. They'll fall for it again. But also, we are here in the red zone, so we get a drop pass, 0 yards. 2nd and 10, incomplete, thrown out the back of the end zone for Will Mallory, 0 yards. And here we are, pass complete to Rambo for 6 yards inside the Pittsburgh 9. This was just off basically a fire drill. He had nowhere to throw it. He slung it out there on the dump off, and Rambo made some hay afterwards. But so 3 plays in the red zone, 6 yards, settle for a field goal. We still have not improved this part of our offense. I'm glad that we had so many explosive plays and we needed every single one of them against Pittsburgh. Great win, 2 ranked opponents in a row, first time in Miami history. But fuck, guys, we need to have an actual red zone offense because we don't have one. So we settle for the field goal there. We get the ball back on our 8 yard line. Harley gets it 8 yards off of play. Well, it's the play action to the right, screen to the left. Love it. Good shit. Nothing wrong with these play calls. Now, Knighton runs for 0 yards, and they did the double stack and the tight end on that side. Again, is that really necessary? You can stack the receivers and put the tight end on the other side, and later on that helps us out a lot because that formation is a little more balanced. But again, Knighton, it's either a home run play or he's getting stopped at the line. This one, he had struggled to get back to line of scrimmage. And then he 3rd and 2, he completes it to Knighton, but it's a loss of 5 yards because they were all over the dump off screens. And on 3rd and 2, we don't need that. I'm not saying that it's not a good thing to keep them honest, but we could have done that on the play before. Again, this is just slightly off. To me, they could have flipped the play calls. So they could have run the screen pass on 2nd down and 2, and then tried to do an actual run out of shotgun with Knighton on 3rd and 2. If if the 2nd down play didn't work, I think they got their wires crossed there. So anyway, that's yeah, for lots of 5 yards, punt the ball again. We get the ball back, and here's that play I was talking about before. We were on the 37-yard line because of the pick. Great job by Tyreek Stevens. And Lashley says, well, let's run the same play before that Rambo dropped. This time he doesn't drop it, has more space, breaks a couple tackles, and he gets 34 yards on the first play. Now we're back in the red zone, 1st and goal, again off the play action. And what happens? Run for 1 yard. Okay, it's running out of shotgun. Now, at least this time, and now this is true. It was the follow up off of the quick pass, so they didn't want the defense to sub. Fine. I still think you go under center for this shit. You go under center, you rush the line, you go under center, and you say, we're ready to snap the ball. You can't sub. And what are you going to do to stop us from the 2 yard line? But that's just me. Instead, now we bring in Arroyo, second tight end. We've got kind of, stack, whatever. And we run away from the fucking play. This is the part that's very silly to me. So we put both of our tight ends who are supposed to be helping with the blocking on the left side of the formation, and we run to the right side because we're going to confuse them, I guess. I don't know. Again, only get 1 yard. And this play and the next play, Cody Brown should be the one on the line because there was enough space there. The Pittsburgh did overemphasize the left side of the line that, okay, maybe, but Knighton is not going to, he might jack up some corners and safeties and maybe even a striker, but he's not going to run over a defensive lineman. And I'm not saying that Cody Brown's going to run over anybody, but he's going to fall forward. He's going to do what Cam does, what Cameron Harris did, but slightly better because he's not even bigger. That's the way he runs. He always runs forward, kind of hard nose forward, falls forward. He will get you 1 yard, but probably 3 yards. And in this case, that's all we needed. Instead, we go big, but not with the big running back. He gets 1 yard. And then 3rd and goal. Again, we stack the tight ends on the right side so that Knighton runs up the center. Like I get the thought process of and it really, it was blocked well enough. I'm not gonna be, mad about that part. But Knighton had to sky over the line to get up over it. And it's like, then why are you putting 2 tight ends on the right side? Because they sealed off the right side so he could have run around everybody for the touchdown. But he had every intention of flying over the line to try and dive over. And again, if you're going to do that, that needs to be communicated. I don't know. It's risky. But again, we've now run 6 plays inside the red zone, and we've gotten a total of 9 yards. So we're just fucking terrible in the red zone. We did come out with a touchdown here, but we had to start on the 3 yard line and run 3 plays from the site 2 and 3 yard line to do it. Huge issue that if Lashley solves that, then we're fucking unstoppable. Okay, get the ball back on the 15. This is the start off the second half. So we're up 2 scores, and we get the ball back because we deferred. Everything's coming up Millhouse. And how do we start the half? Well, we do a screenplay to Harley for 4 yards. Excellent. And we run Knighton for one. Not so great. But again, they were doing the fake screen right, run left. You got to keep them honest. Fine. 3rd and 5, sack. Basically, we left. Not only did we leave Mallory one on one with a dude who has the most ridiculous name I've ever seen. He wins of all the names of everybody in this game. Habakkuk Baldonado, who's from Rome, Italy, fucking wins. But he got to be left one on one with Mallory, who wasn't even on the line. If you look at the formation, they specifically dropped Mallory back an extra 2 or 3 yards to give Habakkuk even more space to just destroy Mallory's attempts to block him because you're giving him even more room to operate where you can't get hands on him. And that's just terrible, terrible offensive line coaching. And I'm not even, I can't honestly blame our offensive line coach for doing that. That's just pure bad play calling. You decided to leave in your tight end on pass coverage or pass pro. Great. Why are you not putting him on the line where he at least has a fighting chance, especially Mallory, who struggles in pass protection? He does. I'm not saying that he's the worst I've ever seen, but he's not great in run blocking or pass blocking on the screens. He's fine because he's on people smaller than him and he just has to get in the way. But on the line, you're just assuming that he cannot block anybody one on one, and yet he got left on an island. And it wasn't the only, they blitzed, so it wasn't like it was the only person coming in. But Habakkuk didn't. I mean, I think that that Mallory managed to like touch his shoulder as he ran by. Like it was just awful. Two, Van Dyke did not get sacked hardly at all. I know there were a couple 0 yard sacks. That's fine. But the ones where he actually got sacked straight up, 15 yards and 10 yards, awful. Just when it rained, it poured. So we gave up that. They score. We get the ball back. We run, I think it was Knighton into the flat. Fine. Beautiful. Again, they blitz again. They're like, hey, why not? Mallory this time is split out. We said, fuck it. If you want to blitz, that's fine. We'll get another receiver out there. And he ran a stop route. And it was a great hot read. 5 yards, starting out great. Rambo, 8 yards, play action. And this time, this is a hot read again, kind of. It's the same route on the other that it was on the other side, but it's that bang bang play where Rambo catches it and gets dropped almost immediately, but holds on to the ball there. So it's not that he can't catch it in traffic; he just has to focus on it. Like it's all mental with Rambo. So anyway, Restrepo, he's just a fucking incredible receiver. Another great hot read, and he drops it in between the linebacker and safety as Restrepo's coming across the field. Great play design, in my opinion, because you've got trips right. Everyone's going to overemphasize it, so you know that if you leak, well, in this case, Restrepo across the middle on a dig route, it should be open because Pitt has to account and has to shade over. Like that has to be there. And you got a guy and Van Dyke who's just fucking rifling it in there. You know that you've got really good chances. So now, 1st and 10 on the. This was just, I don't even know what the fuck happened here. We just decided not to block the right side of the line. And I think it was something where Van Dyke probably could have pulled on the option play, but he tripped. And him and everybody else on the fucking field tripped over this field. For an NFL stadium, this field is garbage. Everyone was slipping, falling, tripping. It was not good conditions. And it wasn't even like it was raining all day or anything like that. It was a beautiful day in Pittsburgh, and still the field was absolute trash. So Van Dyke, I think, slipped here, and that's why he didn't have an opportunity to pull when clearly Knighton was going to get eaten up by the defensive end. And I mean, would Van Dyke have done much better? Probably not, but he wouldn't have lost 7 yards, I don't think. I think he might have lost, 5 at worst. But he also fell right away, so it would have been just as bad. So anyway, this is where that everything goes south. Okay. Offensive holding. They didn't even tell us who held, just that Miami held. And this was another pass. He threw it too far for Will Mallory. and we get the holding call anyway. Now it's 3rd and 17, and we're in the wrong side of the field. So we just give it to Restrepo for 10 yards. Why not? And this was a tough catch, contested. It was the quote unquote, safety valve. It just, it was good. They punted it from the 38, I guess, because they didn't want to attempt a 55 yarder, even though we were up seven. I don't understand that. I guess because Pitt's kicker, who should know better, still somehow missed from 49. I don't know. I feel like you let the stash take a shot at it, but they wanted to try and pin him deep instead. Terrible idea, because they ended up marching right down the field anyway and scoring. So again, Manny Diaz. This will be, in my opinion, the Manny Diaz moment where he chose incorrectly again as the head coach, and it cost us perhaps 3 points. Because either way, it wasn't like we were going to stop Pitt the play after or the drive after. Now, I know that's easy to say in hindsight, but also it's a 55 yarder. You have a kid who can hit it from 60. I know he hasn't yet, but why the fuck not? Keep the pressure on. Hit a 55 yarder in Heinz Field and just absolutely shut those people up who are in the stands. No, okay, now it's fucking bananas in there. And how do you respond? We go trips right, overload again, and this time we run it. And again, we do that little slam play, and Knighton just explodes like he shot out of a cannon. And the line blocked it well enough to give him that seam, and he makes it 9 yards. Great. 2nd and 1. Run it again. See, this time out of a balanced formation, even with the stack on the left, instead of putting the tight end on the right or on the left side as well, you put him on the right. Now it's a little more balanced, a little more even. Knighton has more space, 4 yards for a first down. Okay. Now, Van Dyke, 12 yards and a first down. This one we went basically full spread. This was great because this was just, it was not the most accurate pass from Van Dyke, or rather, he thought Keyshawn was going to be running further upfield instead of cutting it in, and he just adjusts and hits it. Remember this play because outside of Harley going in motion, this is identical to the touchdown pass that ends this drive. But what we got here, we get Harley again, fake left, screen right, 4 yards. I will fucking take it. We'll do that 3 times and get a first down. Instead, we do it again the opposite side, almost the identical play, but it was not even much of a play action. But Harley just takes off 17 yards, good blocking in the formation. And you can already tell it's halfway through the third quarter. Pittsburgh's defenses, they're not gassed. They're fucking done with this shit. They really needed to rebound in the fourth quarter to make any sort of stops. So this intercepted return for no gain. It was pass interference. This one was probably a little too aggressive. He definitely was double covered deep. But 1st and 10, I guess Van Dyke said, "Hey, I'm fucking Superman right now. They can't stop me." Well, he got bailed out because the pass interference was pass interference. But the Pittsburgh guy didn't need to do that. I really don't think he had safety help, and the safety made a fantastic play. So Mr. Hallett there screwed himself out of an interception for his buddy. But I think Van Dyke realized that he needed to calm it down a little. So complete to Knighton. This one was, again, on the dump off play, kind of floated over the top. Knighton Jalen should have lost his helmet on this play because the Pittsburgh guy was on top of him. And I believe he did that back step, like basically the stop move, and he flew right by him. It was beautiful. That is a Jalen Knighton play. Nobody else on Miami would be able to pull that. Maybe Richard Smith, maybe. But Tad Franklin, Cody Brown, I don't expect those guys to make those plays ever. And fortunately, when it comes to lining up what Rooster's good at least Lashley has done a great job of lining that up for him. And for Van Dyke as well. Like now he's kind of locked in on what the freshmen are good at, some of them, and it's working out well. So now here another 4 yards. Again, stack, but balanced, not no tight end over, a true stack left and tight end and receiver right, 4 yards. I will take it. And that was on 2nd and 3, get the first down. And then, hey, that play that we were just talking about where he basically had to hit Keyshawn. This time he read where Keyshawn was going and he threw it a little further downfield over the top of the safety. I know that everyone and their mother 365 Canes, Rowe with the OBB, everyone's probably analyzed the shit out of this play. But the idea here is, again, Keyshawn, it's not exactly where Keyshawn is, and he reacts and adjusts to where the pass ends up. The one before was behind him, behind it, like basically back shoulder when it shouldn't have been. This one was further downfield than it should have been. But Keyshawn ran the route a little shallow that time, and he just reacts to it anyway. It's incredible stuff. Keyshawn to me definitely was the better receiver versus Rambo today. Well, not today, this past week. Well, we'll see what happens coming up. It's nice to have both of them in a position to do really well. But what does this last drive tell us strategically? Well, I talk about the opposite castling. You can read the description there. But essentially, it means that the king on the one side, basically the way that everybody sets up, he's on one side, the other king's on the other side, and it's just basically heavyweight, blow for blow. You go all out on each other. That's what's happening in this time. It's happening here. It's happening in the in throughout the third quarter into the fourth quarter. But it also, and so you could see all of the pieces are in play. Everything's open. Everybody's in position to make plays. The queen's right there. The knight is right there. He's actually putting the king in check, forcing just all sorts of nonsense. You got the pawn right there, which actually prevents the black knights from actually getting into the game and trying to defend. But the real killer in that drive, the real killer to me was Knighton. They kept having to worry about him from the first play, 9-yard gain, 4-yard gain, 40-yard gain, 7-yard gain with the catch out of the backfield. He was skewering the fucking king. And so in this particular, setup for chess, and I would say kind of a good analogy for what happened in that drive, the knight there, we'll say some other piece, is the one applying pressure to the king. But the reason why black here can't really defend and win or get out of, avoid basically losing is because the rook or Jalen Knighton is just that threat the whole time of we're going to give him the ball, we're giving him those open lanes, and you have to be ready for him to hit that home run play. So everybody else, you're just going to be willing to give up, bits and pieces here, 10 yards there, 17 yards to Harley because you weren't ready for the tackle. 12 yards to Keyshawn twice, Rambo. These are all coming out of the fact that you have to account for Rooster first. And he's doing well. During that drive, he averaged well over 3 yards per carry. So they had to account for that and try and stop the run first, and everything else opens up. Now, we get the ball back. It's 38-34. Start of the fourth quarter. And we take a sack here. Basically, he was scrambling, and they called it a sack, fine. But nothing was open downfield. Okay, 2nd and 11. Incomplete, intended for Rambo. He overthrew him. Actually, this one he wasn't actually overthrowing him. Rambo kind of got beat up as the pass was getting there, we'll say. But yeah, it was just a little too far out of reach. If it had hit Rambo, it would have been obvious that the Pittsburgh guy hit him before the ball got there. But because it was a couple yards off, they didn't throw the flag. So then 3rd and 11, complete to Jalen Knighton for no gain. Again, try to float it out to him. This one, in my opinion, I understand the play design. Again, it's kind of a screenplay. He had to be very, very dynamic. Rooster did, just to get back to line of scrimmage. And part of that was because they decided to bite up on it. Maybe I think we take advantage of it later, but maybe throw that pass a little further downfield so when Knighton catches it and gets to be dynamic on the run, if the routes run a little deeper and not so far behind the line, as you could see from the drawing, maybe he gets a few more yards out of it. Is it a first down? No, I don't think. They were ready. They were all over that shit. They realized that Rooster was the issue that they needed to address. And again, that threat is what they were trying to address. So we have to punt. And then great stop by the defense. And also a great stop the drive before. The defense really showed up in the fourth quarter, but a great stop the drive before to force the field goal instead of allowing them to score their red zone. They're almost as bad as we are in the red zone, but not really. So it's the Restrepo show back on after your commercial break. Play action. Restrepo screen to the right, 5 yards. Screen to the left, 22 yards off of the play action the other way. Restrepo and Harley, man, just fucking. We did that all game Continue to fucking do it. Now, the pop pass to Brashard Smith, 4 yards, and an extra 15 for illegal hands to the face, I think downfield. Really dumb penalties by Pittsburgh all around. What are you going to do? Anyway, so another drop pass by fucking, and this one was just really killer because, again, we're up 4 points. We're in the fourth quarter. And what do we dial up? We dial up a flea flicker. I love it. It's just this is so good because the rest of the game between the reverse pass and this flea flicker, we didn't do really any quote like straight trick plays. And we were running just, we weren't even really running rollouts. We were just running play action, not a lot of moving the ball out of the pocket. We were just straight pocket throw, pocket throw, pocket throw. And so here we hand off, I believe, to Cody Brown. He flips it back to Van Dyke, who hits Rambo over the shoulder. It was beautiful. And that was Rambo's third drop of the game. And basically, two of the three drops were touchdowns for sure. And the other one would have been a decent game. Just, it's all mental with Rambo. He gets his focus in, unstoppable. But unfortunately, it ends up that we get the 5 yard pass to Knighton, and this is like the real swing pass, not the little teardrop, but a real swing pass, and got him in space. And I think this is the one where he ran over somebody again because why the fuck not? And then he scrambles for a first down on 3rd and 5. And the camera work on this ACC network is fucking terrible with the camera work. I really liked the commentary, hated the camera work. I had no idea. I think this was the formation. Who fucking knows? All I know is that Van Dyke had to scramble, and he literally did like the almost like a Euro step on the football field, pretended to pass to linemen who can't get the pass, and then kind of took that left step and then one more for the first down and got rolled up on. Incredible stuff. Dude was fucking baller. Yep, Cody Brown's out there. We do. Now, this is the same formation that we did the play action and hit Rambo in stride for what should have been a touchdown and then 34 yards. We go in on the right side. We do it Cody Brown, and he just takes one cut and goes 6 yards. So this formation should not work against anybody else, but against Pittsburgh, it was very, very effective because I think Pittsburgh plays a lot of man coverage, and that really helps. So keep that in mind. If Georgia Tech plays man, I don't believe they do, but if you see this formation, you know that that's where we're trying to emphasize is forcing them to account for two receivers when one of them's covered, and then we can run it up the field. We can do play action and throw it in the middle of the field. The middle is wide the fuck open. All right, back to this balanced, thing. Hey, 3 yards for Cody Brown, whereas Jalen Knight was getting 4 yards a couple times, but also 1 yard a couple times. But again, more balanced, opens up the holes a little more. Again, I'm glad that Lashley corrected that. He did that mistake one time and one time only, and then he was fine. And also, he did this play call, which was really bizarre. Now, at the end of the day, this was the false start again on Navon Donaldson. Why not? So he accounted for fucking not only 20 yards of penalties, but an extra at least another 10 or 20 yards of offense that just got wiped off the board. But anyway, so 3rd and 6 instead of 3rd and 1. We couldn't just give the ball to Cody Brown. We have to do a rollout play. I think the rollout play is terrible. This was the only true rollout, like roll way outside of the tackle box and try to make a play. Now, I get that the play design was to Rambo, who fell down on top of his 3 drops, but it's okay. Harley ran deep and also fell down because the field is fucking trash. So this is not really a Rambo problem. But the idea here is that it was going to be a very short rollout, where Van Dyke still was had his feet under him, could kind of step into the throw and hit Rambo for the first down. Instead, he slips and falls. So then Van Dyke keeps rolling instead, and this is kind of a rookie mistake of trying to make something out of nothing. We're on the 30-yard line. You have to imagine that we would have kicked the field goal from that range. And it was unfortunate. And, at the end of the day, do you expect both your receivers to fall down? No, only in Miami would that be a thing. But also, if your first read fell down and you're now having to roll way further than you originally did. Tyler needs to know for himself that he can't make that pass 25, 30 yards downfield. Like he can, but he can't do it accurately. And you're up for it's 7 minutes in the fourth. You're in field goal range. Why force it? In any other situation, if he didn't have anybody open, he would have slid for a sack. He would have taken a couple yards loss instead of trying to force it, and we would have kicked the field goal anyway. But for whatever reason, because he thought he had Harley downfield for 30 yards, somehow that was going to turn out better. Again, dude played an amazing game, and I think that's why he was making every pass imaginable that he said, you know what, let's do it anyway. And again, he did it earlier. He got bailed out of that one. This one, I think that Tyler Van Dyke is an impressive quarterback, but I think that he has to stay within his wheelhouse, at least for the rest of the season. Again, he's a freshman. Start working on your hip exercises and stuff like that, like the Manning show, and you'll be good to go for next year when you're doing these rollout passes. But, was I happy that we called a rollout pass? No, but I understand that it wasn't meant to be one of those more elaborate ones. Still, this interception was terrible. It really could have broken the game for us, but it's okay. James Williams made that pick on the other side anyway, and then took his helmet off. So he went from the 4-yard line to the 2-yard line. So then this play almost fucking happens. Now, here's my biggest issue with this play. This is a bad call from the 2-yard line. And we are so fucking lucky that Pittsburgh pissed off the refs so much that they actually tried to call it quote unquote fair at the end, because he does make it out of the end zone. Does he make it out by much? No, not at all. Not even a little bit. But the ball definitely crosses the plane. It has nothing to do with the body. And I don't care what Pitt says. They didn't get screwed out of this. They screwed themselves. But this was a check. So at first, Knighton's on the right side of Van Dyke. He gets called. He checks out of the play and he switches it so that now Rooster's on the left side of him instead of the right side. So he ends up running across the formation with Mallory in the backfield. If anybody watches the show, I hate when we do this. Knighton is only good when there's nobody else in the backfield on that side to get in his fucking way. So we came out in a formation where Mallory was blocking Knighton's progress right out of the gate. And the way that we quote unquote fix that is to move him to the left side and still run it to the right side where Mallory's in the fucking way. Now, if you'd have Mallory get on the line when you swapped out of it and you audibled out of it, totally reasonable. Does it mean that the play works better? No, but at least you're not ensuring that there's an extra body taking up a hole that Knighton can't run through. There's literally nowhere else for Knighton to run. He had to run to the right guard, and that's it. He couldn't run to the left side because that's not how the play was called. He had to get the ball and run immediately to the right. Plus, that left side of the line basically collapsed right out of the gate anyway because they're expecting a run. But he couldn't bounce it outside. He couldn't cut it back. There was no place for him to go because of the way that the formation was set up and the fact that we checked out of where it was the I formation on the right side into this formation on where he's basically doing the same thing, but from the left side. So 2 things there. 1, terrible formation if you're going to be trying to run on the 2-yard line, especially with Jalen Knighton. 2, why is Jalen even in the fucking game? Cody Brown did not run for a loss the entire game. Now, I'm not saying he would have gotten more than a yard, but he wouldn't have gotten less than a yard because where we ran this play, Knighton gets up to the line of scrimmage and ends up getting driven back. He gets not even to the line of scrimmage, but he gets close to the back of the linemen and he can't get past them because of the way things are set up. Is Cody Brown going to go further? No, but he's going to hold up longer instead of giving up more ground. He's either going to fall forward out of the end zone where it's not even a debate, or he's going to basically stick with it like he did when he ran his touchdown run for 3 yards a couple weeks ago where he got held up at the line, but he didn't go backwards. And eventually the line opened up that he could sneak through because he didn't go down at first contact either. That is the kind of running back you want when your backs are against the fucking wall or when you're at the other end of the field and you need to get that extra yard to get into the end zone. And I get that this is like a prototypical vulture situation. You've got your goal line back and you've got your, back in space who's dynamic, but that's what we have. There's no reason to out overthink this or to try and outsmart anybody. Putting Jalen Knighton in the backfield doesn't mean a goddamn thing. Everybody knows he gets the ball. But we're going back to this. We have a bell cow. He's our best running back. We got to give him the ball in every situation. No, we fucking don't. No, we do not. So those are the two things that this would have screwed us. And in any other situation, if Pitt had not been complete idiots earlier in the game, we probably would have been screwed. But instead, we keep it second 11 and a great fucking play by Rambo, great pass by Van Dyke that nobody saw live. And the commentators, for all that good that they did calling the game, they didn't say a goddamn word when he got 18 yards on this. He just said he throws and everybody fucking has a heart attack, and then Miami first down. And they go on and on about what an amazing play that was. And of course, we didn't see it for another 2 minutes, but it was really good. And it just should this be our play call? No, this should not be our play call. But Van Dyke, even with the interception, comes right back and fucking just dominates. Just incredible stuff. You would think that throwing the pick before, and really 2 picks before, would make him question his ability for any amount of time, not even for an instant. And this was a back shoulder pass, had to be back shoulder. They blanketed Rambo on that comeback, and he back shouldered it and got him in enough space where he even got more yards after that. So now we're on the 19-yard line. Unbelievable. And again, the camera works so fucking terrible we didn't see it. But now we're not in crunch time. We're not backed up against our own end zone anymore. We're not in the other team's red zone. So what does that mean? Now Jalen Knighton can do this shit all day. 7 yards, no big deal. 26-yard line, 2 minutes left, 2nd and 3, runs for a loss of 1 because, again, they were all about stopping the run. Everybody knew he was getting the ball. In my opinion, you should have Cody Brown in there at that point. Or really, if you're not going to do that, you should seriously consider throwing the screen pass, because Pittsburgh bid on that all day and everyone knew that was going to happen. Commentators know that's going to happen. They're like, it's incredible. We had 500 yards of 900 yards total of passing offense between both teams, and this is going to come down to a 3 or 4 yard run. Yeah, because it's 3rd and 4, because they're ready for it. So Lashley calls a brilliant play, and what makes it even more brilliant is that this is the bread and butter play. Right? This is the prototypical De'Aaron King, do play action to the left, roll the quarterback to the right, and flip it to your tight end who is in the backfield for a first down. Great stuff. Pittsburgh didn't read this for a second. They basically you just basically pulled the defensive end into 2 spots where he can't go after the quarterback and cover the tight end, and they weren't ready for it at all. Now, do I think we should ever run this play in any other situation? No, never. Never in a million years should you run this play at all. Why? Because you have Mallory in the backfield blocking Knighton, so no one should be expecting the run play to be effective on that, because it never is from this formation with the personnel you have. You're rolling Van Dyke out, who, again, is not super accurate beyond a 2-yard pass while he's on the move. This would not be the best play call in any other situation. The only situation that this works is when you expect us to basically run out the clock, that we're here just to run out the clock. We're just trying to get it with about 2 minutes left, give it back to Kenny Pickett, try and make something out of nothing, whatever. We're just here to kind of phone it in. As soon as Pittsburgh believed that this becomes the best play call ever. And I love that Lashley pulled it out, because he didn't call this play the rest of the game. He didn't call anything even remotely looking like this the entire rest of the game. We barely saw this formation the entire game. And the last time we saw it, we almost got a safety. So it's not just kudos to Lashley for going with a play that Pitt had not seen the entire time, so they did not recognize the play, and certainly the players did not recognize it. It was the only play call that he could have made in this particular situation to ensure that the shit got done. Now, obviously, Mallory gets flipped. He fumbles. It barely goes out of bounds. Van Dyke's on there, almost gets the recovery, almost. And again, all's well that ends well, people. But the play call was fucking chef's kiss for this particular play call. It pretty much makes up for all the other, and there weren't that many. There were only like 2 or 3 bad calls throughout the game, including the first one. Um, this makes up for that for sure because it's taking into account the entire game and making sure that you win the game. You don't put this on your defense. You called this play to win the fucking game for Miami, and damn if it didn't work. Let's see more of this shit this week. Now, your end game is called Vukovic's mate. Now, this is because Will Mallory as a tight end, I consider him basically like a knight because that they're kind of this Swiss Army knife sort of piece that does weird things that nobody else does, and they can kind of do multiple different roles depending on what's necessary. That's what a knight is. That's what a tight end is. And the rook because Jalen Knighton, he's the rook. He's the running back. When he's on, he is unstoppable. In this particular situation, the way that we sealed the game, running with Knighton got us to the third and short, but second and short and third and short situations where someone like a play action pass to our tight end, who's big and just needs a few yards, gets us the first down, ensures the win. So Vukovic's mate is where you use a rook and knight to deliver checkmate. And let's show you how. The rook's the one actually putting the king in check and covering the entire line. So the king has nowhere to go in that regard. And the knight behind him covers the squares around it. And it makes a nice little V, and it makes sense to me. I don't know who the fuck Vukovic is. Seems to work very well. That is basically what we did to end that game. Now, I know that we also had a great catch by Rambo. I'm not taking anything away from him, even though his 3 drops really were killer. And we could have won that game by 2 or 3 scores. It's fine. At the end of the day, the dynamic between that, the play action to the tight end, back and forth, it has its place. I just think that if we retool it, knowing that we have both Mallory out there, if we get Arroyo out there more, and if we use the fact that we have Knighton, who is great in space, and Cody Brown and or Tad Franklin, who are really good with the one cuts in between the tackles, this offense can be even better than what we saw. Now, with that said, a win is a win is a win. Go Canes. And I think we can get the win against Georgia Tech tomorrow. I wish I could be there in person, but unfortunately, this is the best I can do. I hope you all enjoyed yourselves. What I hope to see is better red zone offense. Let's fucking see it, guys. If we get that sorted out, ain't nobody stopping this fucking offense. And our defense is coming up big when it matters. So, hey, you know what? Can we win the Coastal? We're going to need a lot of luck, but we can at least be competitive the rest of the year. So, as always, go Canes. We'll see you all next time, regardless of win, lose, or draw. Though hopefully that won't be a thing.